Hello, it's Colette. Today I'd like to do a video on how my spirituality helps me with chronic illness and chronic pain. It's something that I've thought on quite a lot and I've worked with quite a lot, and these are just my opinions on it. It doesn't mean that if you're not spiritual that you don't deal with pain or illness in a good way. Nothing could be further from the truth. This is my experience of my spiritual path and how it helps me just get through the day or the week or the month, and I'm sure you'll all have your own way too. Also, this is kind of anecdotal as well, because as I've got older, the kind of group of people round about me has become smaller, and also it's quite a spiritual group. So I watch the way that they handle pain using their spirituality to help, and I can see the way that they do it or whatever. So it's, I've got a science background as well as shamanic. There's nothing scientific about this video at all, so don't come at me for that. This is anecdotal and also my own experience of it. I would say, though, there has been certain trials, etc., that show that if you believe in something higher, you tend to deal with pain or illness that wee bit better. As I say, I've got no proof of that, but I kind of... I think that could be the case just looking at my own life, because my spirituality does help me a lot. But if you are an atheist, or if you believe in the power of humanity or your own higher self, these things, as long as you believe in them, can help you with the pain as well. So whatever your spiritual path is, and or none, this is just my opinions. And if you stay to the end, there'll be also a few negative sides of it, which I'd like to put in for some balance as well. First thing is, for having a long-term chronic illness, particularly chronic pain issues, to deal with it, I believe there has to be a degree of acceptance. It's a bit like bereavement, where we go through this disbelief that, where's my life? Where's it gone? And then anger, why has this happened to me? Particularly if you're relatively young. And then there comes a phase of acceptance, and an acceptance of the illness and the way that you can live your life. I believe when you follow a spiritual path and have various understandings about your, higher self, or your God, goddess, universe, I believe that can lead you to come to that acceptance phase maybe a wee bit quicker. I mean, everybody has to get there, because if you get stuck in disbelief, you'll only end up hurting yourself, to be honest. If you get stuck in anger, oh my God, you'll just rage at the whole thing, and you'll do in your energy that you need for that chronic illness. So the best thing is to try and get as quickly as possible to acceptance. And when you follow a spiritual path, I think there is more of an understanding of that certain things in life just have to be accepted. And, rage against the fire isn't going to do any good. Sorry, rage, is it the poem Against the Light, the dying of the light? We can rage for a wee while, but ultimately that rage just takes away energy that you don't have. So I believe that my spiritual path, which is a mixture of shamanic Native American and my goddess is Hindu goddess Durga, pantheistic, and also have connections to Christianity, and quite a connection with the shamanic aspect of kitchen witch as well. So it's quite all over the place, but it's me. Yeah, I'm a magpie. I've got the bits that I need from everything that make up my own spiritual path. So acceptance. The second thing I've said is, I think walking a spiritual path, walking a talk, leads you to see where you are and what's happening to you as part of a bigger picture, because if you're walking a true spiritual path, you will more look outwards than inwards. I mean, I know you'll meditate on your inner self and your higher self, but to me this life is about compassion and giving, and really looking for what you can do for this world, what you can do to help other people. And when you're walking that spiritual path and you see that you're part of that bigger picture, that, you know, there's things that you can still do for other people. There's things that you have learned maybe about your illness that you can pass on to other people, you can help other people with. The bigger picture also, it's, you know, you feel as though you're part of this great web of life, and because of that, yes, you're intrinsically important, but you're intrinsically small as well. So this experience you're having with this illness is very big for you, but in the big picture, it's just part of what you're doing, connected with what everybody else is doing, and all moving forward, hopefully, with a spiritual understanding. So seeing the bigger picture can make you feel quite intensely big, but it can make you feel quite small as well. And that can be a good thing, because if the world and the universe is going round your little life and your little illness, you become very insular, and then can become very selfish. So yes, I love the fact that yes, we're all part of the web of life, we're all wonderfully part of everything, we're made, say, in God's image or whatever. We are incredibly important, but we're also little cogs in your little wheels of the whole big web of life as well. And understanding that can put things in perspective. And, you know, whatever your spiritual path is, you can look at it either way. You can say, I'm this image of God, and work with your spirituality that way, or you can be like, I'm this little part of the web of life that's been spun, and deal with it that way. It still gives you that aspect of I'm one of many. I'm part of this bigger thing, and my experience of this is part of the bigger thing as well. I don't know if I've got that over right, but I hope you understand what I'm saying, and I would love your comments on this. I've got a couple of wee notes here. One of the other things, believe it or not, I think when you walk a spiritual path, so many little things become life-affirming. In a way, you're looking for things that are life-affirming. You're looking for the magic in life. You're looking for the signs. You're looking for the wonder. You're walking in beauty, balance and harmony, hopefully. And in doing that, you're open to the wonder and to the life affirmations that come. Now, that has to be helpful when you have days upon weeks upon months of chronic pain. Not little bits of pain, you know, like you maybe got a sore toe and it goes away, but when we're talking like some of the autoimmune pain, it's excruciating pain that is always there. It never goes away. It's just the levels of it, and some days it's there but you can manage it, and other days it's so extreme that you can't. But if you have a path that is life affirming, and you have literally evolved to see the beauty in all things, and I suppose it's being an optimist as well, being optimistic about how things could go and what reasons are for things, I think that part of spirituality helps you cope with the chronic side of chronic illness or chronic pain. And by that I mean something that's not going to get better. There are certain things that can... excuse me, there's a wee doggy going a wee bit mad. Settle down, Nelly, come on. There are certain things that if we take medicines and this, that, and next thing, we can actually get a bit better. But there are things that are diseases that can't be made better. They can be controlled, they can be medicated, and we can use all sorts of things to help us with them. But basically, they will not be cured. And I think that a spiritual path can really, really help with those things. So part of the looking for beauty and walking in beauty, balance and harmony gives me an aspect of understanding that, yeah, today I'm not so good, but tomorrow I might just see a flower in the garden that gives me an awesome feeling. Now, the other thing, meditation and ritual. Now, if you follow a spiritual path, you tend to have certain rituals, certain prayers, certain meditations, and it's the pattern of them that can actually very much help with chronic illness and chronic pain. Before I meditate, I normally get myself in a comfy position, get rid of anything round about me that could be distracted, and I sit or I lie, and I do various stages to get myself into that level of meditation, work through that, calm down, ground at the end, have a cup of tea or coffee, blah, 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 blah. It's the same with ritual. If you're maybe wanting to do a ritual for someone else or for yourself, there's a pattern that you follow. And the pattern for meditation and for ritual are very, very good at distracting you from pain. I know you'll think, how can you meditate when you're in pain? Does the pain not break through? Well, to be honest, sometimes it can. And in that case, I'll shamanically use the pain to take me deeper into meditation, because to go into a trance state, shamanically, there's various different ways to do it, and one of them, believe it or not, is pain. That's why there's sun dances and things where there's an element of pain involved. I wouldn't advise you to go and stick a needle in yourself or something. I don't mean that, but if you have a wave of pain when you're in meditation, that can be used to take you to the next level of meditation. But if we just go back to the sort of patterns of the ritual and patterns of the meditation, these things themselves can distract you from the pain for a wee while. And when you come back from doing the ritual and the meditation, you normally have got some good sort of hormones floating about that give you that wee bit of pain relief, to be honest, especially if you've done a meditation where there has been something ecstatic happen, when you have been taken to an energy that's been even particularly healing. So I believe that doing meditation and ritual as part of my spiritual path also helps me with my chronic pain. The other one I've got down is just comfort, right? Again, going back to, if you believe in something, it can be comfort, and I receive such a lot of comfort and joy from my goddess Durga. And when I'm down and low and sad or whatever, and I maybe pray to her, I do feel comfort. When I'm working and I'm working around, getting us through the day, and I'm maybe having difficulty to talk to my guide, White Storm gives me comfort. And I think it's a thing that's missed out a lot, that, sometimes when you are working through difficulties with pain and exhaustion and your life not being what it was, because remember, with chronic pain and chronic illness, you've literally lost the way that your life was. I'm lucky in that I was working full-time spiritually in a spiritual occupation before my illness got too bad. I had to give that up, but although I had to give up the readings, etc., I've not given up on my spirituality. So I find that having that same spiritual path, same spiritual understanding, having my tarot cards, I've got a friend who used to say that when she was feeling very low, she had depressive problems, she used to just get her tarot cards and sit and shuffle them. And in shuffling them, she got relief. Now that to me is the actual connection with the tarot deck was giving her comfort, but the ritual of shuffling them was also taking her away from her problems for a little while, and I think that's a great comfort. Now there's also mindfulness and mantras. Now, being mindful, not going to go into it, you know it yourself, it's being in the moment. Now, if you're in the moment and it's about pain, that can be difficult. I know that sounds, we're all meant to be in the moment, but if that moment is excruciating pain, yes, maybe shamanically you can use that for what is this telling me? What do I need to feel from this? But to be honest, when I am in very, very bad pain, I tend to go into a mantra. A mantra is certainly words or a chant that you can easily roll off. Again, there's an element of distraction there, but repeating a mantra over and over again can bring your god, goddess or whatever closer to you, and then you get distraction and comfort. So by doing, using the mindfulness of the moment, I'm in pain, what do I do? Rather than escaping through maybe having a bun or watching mindless television or YouTube or whatever, I go straight into a mantra, and the mantra continues. That's sometimes chants as well, and with that you're not only getting comfort, you're also getting distraction. So that aspect, that payoff from that spirituality is wonderful, and I would suggest that you make yourself either learn some very basic mantras or make your own mantras. My menopause book, if you're going through menopause or perimenopausal, for all the issues of menopause, I have a way of dealing with it, and also a mantra in every chapter, and they're quite good. They're mantras I use myself. So it's called Menopause, A Natural and Spiritual Journey by Colette Clairvoyant. It's been out a while now. But there is a case where even mantras, meditation, all sorts of mindfulness, etc. has been used for menopause. So remember, a lot of the times the spirituality is bringing us great comfort and also distraction. I've got hope and strength. If you're not spiritual, I'm sure you'll still have strength. I'm sure you'll still have hope in different things. But if you've worked with your spirit guide or your deity or the universe, and you've seen good things come from that, maybe you've done a ritual for something you needed for your family and it manifested. You've done certainly this, that and next thing that's manifested. There's always hope. There's always hope that things will go better. So I believe that my spirituality gives me great hope for the future, not hope of being cured or whatever, but that hope that life will still be good, even if it's through other things. And I do believe that. And strength, I think, particularly if you're disciplined with your path, and I talk about this a lot, but if you're disciplined enough to meditate at a certain time every day, if you're disciplined enough to have prayers at certain times of the day, if you're disciplined enough to work with the full moon and the new moon, if you're disciplined to keep enough to make sure you're keeping the equinoxes and the solstices sacred, if you're disciplined enough, then that discipline can help you be disciplined with the pain as well. And by that, I'm not meaning fight it, but have that discipline to say, you know what, I'm being overwhelmed here, so I need to have the discipline to go and rest. I need to have the discipline and the strength to say no to people. That's by doing all your spiritual path with discipline. It gives you discipline in other areas of your life. Discipline where you can push through stuff, but also discipline to know when you have to say no. And that's what comes out of my spiritual path as well. So you see, I'm sure there's loads I've missed out, but they were the ones that came to me. Now, here I go into some negatives, and the first thing I'd like to say is, please, whoever you are that is maybe listening to this, don't go into the comments and tell me if I eat keto, my chronic inflammatory illness will go away. Don't tell me that if I stop carbs or if I eat all sorts of this or paleo or whatever, that this disease will go away. This is an autoimmune disease, like many of the rest of them out there, like MS, like rheumatoid arthritis. Yes, I keep a diet very, very low in inflammatory foods, and I use a lot of anti-inflammatory herbs, and sometimes they help and sometimes they don't. If I'm in a full-blown flare, to be honest, I can't eat anyway, so the food isn't going to help or not help, okay? So please don't start telling me or anybody else. I'm sure people that are trying to move forward and talk about their illness, I see this so many times, particularly with Sjogren's, where it's not very understood. So many comments are, well, if you do this, that wipe out this disease within 3 months. I've had it myself. There's been such well-meaning people, such kind-hearted people, but also a few with big egos. If you do this, you're cured, blah, blah, blah. My mum and dad had this disease. My brothers had this disease. My nieces got this disease. I've got this disease. Do you not think that we would have figured this out by now? I'm a non-practicing pharmacist. I have a science background. I'm a shaman who uses magic, who uses herbs, whatever, and I put the two of them together and I've still got my disease. So one of the negative sides of walking a spiritual path is that other spiritual people may claim to have the answer. And because you're in that sort of spiritual world, they'll feel that it's easy for them to give you advice. And all I can say is just try not to get angry. Sometimes, it's a case of, a few times I've tried to say what I've just said. Look, I know what I've got. I've tried everything. This is what it is. Now I just say thank you. Thank you for your advice, and I leave it at that, because I don't want to give out too much energy and I don't want to get into an argument with people. So thank you for your advice. The other thing that I would say is, again, there's this aspect of cure. I wrote a book called Maybe the Universe Just Isn't That Into You, where I tore apart people that have a cure for cancer and this, a cure for this, a cure for that. To a certain degree, I have my thoughts on big pharma, etc., and certain things that could be more helpful but don't get through, all sorts of things. Not a conspiracy theorist, but I see both sides of it, and because I see both sides, I know that there are things that need a jolly good whack of chemicals to even help the person, even to be able to survive, My shamanic side and my scientific side work together. But, if I had cancer, I'm not going to suck olives every day and hope it'll cure me. I'm going to go and get scientific and medical treatment. And yes, I'll do all the other things that I know can help. Alternatively, complementary therapists should advise on how to use complementary medicine. So I would say, being part of a spiritual path where you connect with a lot of spiritual people, you're always going to get people that will decide that they can cure you. So at the moment, there's nothing that is dietary going to cure this autoimmune disease. There's nothing to do with visualization that's going to cure this. I am very good at visualizing, and that's why I think my magic works a lot. I've got a strong will, but you need to be able to visualize, and I can visualize very, very well. That's not ego talking. I've just always been able to do this. So I can visualise very well. I can even visualise down to cellular level, and I can visualise as well using my pharmacy knowledge, because I did 2 years of anatomy and physiology, so I know the parts of the body and I know how they work. So I have that knowledge and I have that visualisation. You know what? It's not really done much for my autoimmune disease. It's maybe helpful for the ritual or the sense of going in there, visualising, quietening, helpful. But visualising, going in and curing, no. And there's also the aspect of this is coming from your ancestry, like 14 grandparents down the line. And this is something that in this life I've got to work with and figure out. Well, there might be some truth in that. I'm not saying there's not. But when I've looked into that, I've not got very far with it, and I've not come across anything that would make me feel that what my ancestors had was something that I'm just repeating and that therefore my daughters will repeat. I would possibly see that more as actual practical, physiologically hereditary. So I know some of you that see me as this very spiritual people don't maybe see the science background as well and might be quite shocked about this, but I've given you all my reasons why I think spirituality helps me, and it does. But we've got to be careful of good-minded people trying to help. And we've got to be careful of frauds trying to help. And we've got to be careful of the next best thing. You know, let's work with the truths from inside us. You know your body better than anyone else. You know when you need to rest. You know when you're not living your best. You know when maybe your diet's been terrible and that's not helping the way that you're feeling. We all know these things, especially if you're spiritual. So work with your own intuition, work with your own spirituality. By all means, investigate all these different things. I work a lot with crystals, and crystals give me a lot of support and a lot of really good calming energies. Carnelian really helps with inflammation on my wrists and in my elbows, so much so I'll tape it to them. That helps me. It may not help you, but it helps me. So investigate things for yourself, but don't put too much, I was going to say faith, that's the wrong word. Don't put too much of your trust in this is going to cure me. Look into it to see if it'll help. Look into it to see if it'll complement what you're already doing. And try and have the best of both worlds. So I hope you've not been offended by the last wee bit. You know me, I like some balance, and I have seen so many people that have gone in a wrong direction with health because they've been told that this, that, or the next thing would help, when there has been, it's just been one person's opinion. Oh, you know, another thing I hate as well, I hate this aspect that sort of, if you can't cure yourself, you're almost a lesser spiritual person. You know, if you really worked on your past lives, if you worked on this, if you worked on that, if you only ate grapefruit, and if you did this and you did that, and if you prayed enough, then your disease would go. That's so wrong. It's so wrong. That if you look at someone that's struggling with cancer, and if you have that mindset, that's so hurtful. Some people fight cancer well and others don't. There's the aspect, they're fighting. Does that mean that the person that just tried their best and got on with it deserves to die more than the fighter? Please be compassionate to people. You know, we can all help our chronic diseases. We can all help our health. But it's too much to say that a person fighting it or seen us fighting it and taking all the different things on board is in any way more spiritual or likely to cure themselves than the person that's just trying to get by. So please, if you agree with my spiritual stuff in this, remember compassion. Because I've seen too many people that have led really good lives and whatever, been struck down with things, and it's just what was maybe meant to be in this life, and no amount of cure, no amount of even praying or whatever was going to stop what was their way of passing, what was their time to go. I'm talking in this more about chronic disease that is here and it's not going to get better. If anything, it's going to get worse. So please take it where it's from. And I'd love your comments on this, those of you that have actually stayed to the end. I'd love your comments on this because I know from the comments I get that some of you are very much in the same wavelength as me with this. But I still a lot of times get a lot of people that are trying to convince me that if I only did this, that, or the next thing, that this disease that has been with me for a long, long time is going to miraculously be cured. So please join in, talk with one another. It's not just about me. I will get back to you with comments. Remember, for any trolls or anybody that have very maybe upsetting things to say, it simply won't go through because I monitor all comments and I won't let anything hateful through. I won't let you say anything negative to anyone on my page, including myself. So thank you very much. Please comment. Let's have a conversation on this because it's so important to us all. Many blessings now. Bye.